Hi, I'm J. David Baxter, author of epic fantasy, urban fantasy, and lit RPG novels. I've got 7 books on the market right now, and my 8th book is coming out on August 1st. My inspirations are probably J.R.R. Tolkien and Robert Jordan. There's tons of other authors that I love and have followed all my life, but those are the 2 big ones. They've been my inspirations. So the best writing tip I ever received is not really a writing tip per se, but Robert Jordan said that before he ever started writing The Wheel of Time, he knew exactly how the series was going to end. He had already envisioned the ending scene, the climax of his story before he ever even started. And my Grey Mantle Chronicles series is exactly the same way. There were 3 moments in that series that I was writing to that were just kind of the climactic events of the series, and that's what I did. That's how I started. Is I wanted to tell that story of how this character went through those moments, and it's not exactly advice per se, but that's kind of how I got started. So, how do I overcome writer's block? Um, I find that in my process, I start with an idea for a story. A lot of times, it's a what if scenario, and then I'll outline that out, and then I'll start writing based on the outline. And somewhere along the way, I'll get stuck. And oftentimes I find that when I get stuck, it's because I haven't thought it through enough. And so I'll go back and I'll outline some more and get it more detailed and figure out what are those little moments that I'm missing in there, or what are those details that I'm missing. And after that, I usually find that I can not only continue with where I was, but usually the story ends up better for having been forced to go back and address those things that are missing. What is the favorite book that I've written? I think I don't have a specific favorite book that I've written per se, but I like the Grey Mantle Chronicles is probably my favorite because it's a story that I've been working on for 40 years, probably. It's an idea I had a very long time ago and I didn't have the skill to address it back then, but then over the years, as I gained more skill, I finally took it on. So I mentioned in the previous comment that I started out writing this series a very long time ago, and I had the idea of the climactic moments of the series before I even started, and I just think those moments really hit in the story, and so I feel like there's a really good payoff. Not that my other books don't have good payoffs as well, but I just I loved the moments in this story. So when did I know that I wanted to be a writer? That's kind of a difficult question because I think I've always wanted to be a writer, at least as far back as I started reading fantasy and science fiction. I can remember distinctly being in the bookstore when I was, I don't know, 13, maybe 12, 13 years old, and thinking, man, I'd love to do this, to be a writer like these guys. Um, and so I think all the way back then, but as far as realistically speaking, I don't think I ever really set out to be a writer. Back, I don't know, 2010-ish, I started writing as a hobby. I got bored and there was nothing really out that I wanted to read at the time. So I decided I'd just start writing what I wanted to read and doing it as a hobby. And I got involved with a play by post website that did role-playing games online. One person writes a scene and the next person jumps in and writes their response to that scene, etc. It was a really good group of writers. There was a lot of really fantastic people on that site. Sadly, it no longer exists, but for many years that was a great place. And so I started writing there as a hobby, and then about, I don't know, 2019, 2020, it occurred to me that out of all the books that I'm reading these days, I'm at least as good as a lot of these people. So that's kind of when I had the light bulb aha moment, of maybe I should actually get serious about writing and tell the stories that I've got rattling around in my brain. So, what's the nerdiest thing that I do? I'd say probably I'm a dungeon master. I DM games for a local group, have been doing for about 2 years now up here locally. In the past, for most of my life, I've been playing D&D. Friends of mine and I started in freshman year in high school, eighth grade, freshman year in high school. And so we go all the way back to first edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I've kept it up over all of these years. I've done Vampire the Masquerade, uh, a really good White Wolf also did a really good superheroes game called Aberrant that sadly is no longer available. But that was a really good game too. And these days it's Dungeons and Dragons fifth edition. So.